and welcome to my Four Boys and an NL Girl podcast. My name is Patty, and I am joining you from beautiful Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, and the most easterly province in Canada and the most easterly part of North America. This is a podcast about knitting, rug hooking, quilting, crocheting, sewing, basically making all the things. I'm fairly creative and I really enjoy making a variety of handmade things, and that's what this podcast is all about. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's Thursday, November 2nd. I can't believe we're in November already. I'd like to welcome anybody who is a new viewer, who is just joining me for the first time. Thank you so much for coming by and checking out my podcast. And a huge warm welcome to those of you who are returning again for the second or third or more time. I can't tell you how much it means to me to have you come back week after week and watch my podcast. I'm still a little in awe of the fact that there are over 150 people subscribed to my YouTube channel and are watching me, little old me, who sits here and talks to herself on a weekly basis. So thank you so much for that. Makes me feel a little less crazy to be sitting here and talking to myself, and it has given me such a great introduction and foot in the door of this wonderful, warm and cozy knitting and podcasting community. So thank you very much for joining me again. Today I'm going to talk about a variety of things. I'd like to tell you that the fog, I was going to take some video footage today of the outside, the house, to show you some of the change of seasons. But though it's cleared up right now, this morning it was so foggy, it would have been useless to show you video footage because you would have seen nothing but gray, cloud, and that wouldn't have been a very interesting part of my podcast. So I'm going to show some footage from the road trip that I took a few weeks ago, one of the places that we visited. I haven't decided which yet. I'll do that when I do my editing, so hopefully you're looking forward to that. I usually highlight at least one or two parts of Newfoundland and Labrador during my podcast because I'm really proud of my province and I think it's an absolutely stunningly beautiful place to live, and I'd like to share that with everybody else. So without further ado, the first thing I'm going to talk about today are finished objects. And I have one finished object to show you today, and it's crocheting. I haven't crocheted in a little while, though I showed you my crochet blanket last episode, or the episode before that. I decided that it's this bunting is my finished object for the week. I decided that I wanted to have a bunting up between Halloween and Christmas, so something I don't Christmas decorate before Remembrance Day on November 11th. I'm fairly firm in that, and though I sincerely adore Christmas and Christmas decorating, I don't start until after the 11th. I usually start on my birthday, actually, which is the 17th of November. And so I wanted something that would tide me over between Halloween and Christmas, and also something that I could put up after the Christmas decorations go away, because I don't know about you, but when I finish my decorating and undecorating at the end of Christmas holidays, the house seems so barren and depressing. And so this year I want to concentrate a little bit on putting out some decorations that are more winter related rather than strictly Christmas. And this bunting, this crochet bunting, and I'll put the link on the screen as to where I got the idea for the bunting. The color choice, the instructions and everything are on the link on the web page that I used to make the bunting, so it's all laid out very simply. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It was really fun. Sewing in all the tails took me about 2.5 hours this morning, so that wasn't so much fun. I should have been sewing in tails as I went along, I guess. Anyway, it's done, and I think it's really pretty, and I'm really pleased with how it hangs and how I was a bit afraid that the circles would flip when I hung them up, but they're staying nice and firm in the front, so it's just a great project. You can probably, as on a tangent now, you can probably tell that I found my antique sock holders. So I'm showing my socks from last week proudly displayed on my sock blockers. And I've got another set, a men's set, right here. These are two sock forms that I actually picked up at an antique store in a small town in the Friesland area of the Netherlands called Hindelopen. It's one of my absolute favorite towns in Holland. And so it happens to be a little memento that I picked up in Holland that now I'm using on a podcast 16 years later. So who knew? You never know where your antiques are going to end up and what you're going to use them for in the future. The next part of my podcast are works in progress. And I have made some progress in some of my whips, and I have made no progress in other of my whips. The first one I want to show you are my socks that I'm knitting for my husband. I'm still at the cuff, but I'm really getting close to the main body of the sock. I'm just going to show you one because they're both at the same stage, both of my socks. So I've gone from, I guess, a very small mustache to what's this, a goatee? So I'm happy about that. I do find the yarn where it's so dark, I've got to make sure that I knit in really good light to see if I'm making any mistakes. And to be honest, in each of my cuffs, I have a couple of small mistakes. Christina, the cozy knitter, is going to be going nuts here now. However, I do have a couple of small mistakes, but I've decided to just go with it. You can't see them. It's not going to make any difference to the sock. And I'm just going to leave it as. I like to think that adds some of the homemade character of the pieces that I make. Now, there are other things that I make that, like quilting, for example, that I try and be very, very exact with. But I'm learning with my knitting that I need to relax a little bit more, because taking out a project 7 or 8 times because you've missed something in a row, 12 or 13 rows back, it's just not fun if it's not, and especially if it's not affecting your pattern anyway. So that's what I've decided with these socks. And again, the main body of these socks is going to be knit with my West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply yarn. So that's going to go together hopefully nicely. I think it will. And I had mentioned last week that I cast on 70 stitches, and one of you lovely viewers got in contact with me and said that 64 seems to be the going number for socks. Well, I have to try these on my husband, because I have taken not this cuff, actually, the other cuff. I've taken it off and I've tried it out on my husband, and it fits really nice. He has size 11 feet. His shoes are like boats, and he has huge legs, calf muscles and thigh muscles. So he's got, my husband was a soccer player or a football player if you're in the UK. He's got very muscular legs. So I think that the 70 stitches are probably going to work. I've tried them on him and they seem fine. So what I'm going to do is knit down and turn the heel and then try them on him again. And then try not to cry too much if it doesn't fit him. So now I'm a bit nervous that 70 stitches might be too much, but I'm going with it for now because the fit, the trying on him really seemed to work out. My other work in progress that I'm going to show you this week is a new work in progress that I totally started this week. I wasn't expecting to, but I was watching the second last episode of Amanda and Christina's Die Another Day podcast, and Amanda had just finished a Pure Joy shawl, and I've also heard about the Pure Joy shawl, I think, from the Grocery Girls podcast and several other podcasts. And I've never knit anything by the designer Joji Locatelli, and I was interested in knitting one of her designs. And the Pure Joy shawl was reputed to be fairly easy, and I'm still comfortable in the beginner intermediate arena of knitting. I'm still definitely learning, and I guess I'm not very confident with my knitting in many ways. So I wanted something that was fairly easy and shawl size, because the hitchhiker shawl that I'm doing really is a shawlette. The spindrift shawl that I did is definitely a shawlette. And I was interested in doing a full shawl. And because Amanda had raved about how much she loved hers and how wonderful it was to knit, I decided I was going to cast one on immediately. So I did. And I've managed to put these down here. I've managed to get, I stopped in the middle of a row. Now Amanda's going to be going crazy at me instead of Christina. So I've got this much of the shawl knit. Hopefully you can kind of see that. I'm happy with how it's knitting up. I actually have a mistake. Oh, I had that upside down. It actually goes this way. I have a mistake down here. I have too many stitches for where I am, so I need to use my rip it stitch and rip back a little bit and fix that, but that's fine. I'm using Sweet Georgia's Tough Love sock in the, let's see, what colorway is this one? This is the Deep Cove colorway, and this one, I remember, is the Melon colorway. It's a really nice fingering weight yarn, the Tough Love sock. I like the fact that it's going to be really durable, especially for a big shawl like this. because my shawls and shawlettes get worn a lot. And with the boys who are quite rough, I need something that's going to be durable. The only thing I've noticed is that I've been spoiled with Little Bean Love's yarn that I'm knitting my hitchhiker in, because that one has cashmere in it. And I'm finding that this shawl, it's fine. It's not scratchy. It's perfectly soft. It's perfectly fine, but it's not as nice as Little Bean Crochet's merino cashmere nylon blend. So I've gotten spoiled. And I got to keep reminding myself that this is also going to soften up a bit as I wash it. So that's what I've started and how far I've gotten. And apparently I've encouraged Jenny at Lucky Jenny Knits podcast to cast on one of these as well. So we're both knitting the shawl. And I would imagine by now Jenny's probably far, far ahead of me, but that's okay. I finished a bunting this week, so I'm fairly pleased with my progress. And I also want to tell you, during my whips, I want to tell you about my hitchhiker shawl, which I'm not going to show you because I am exactly still halfway. I haven't knit on it at all since I had it on my last or my second last podcast. It's still knitting up gorgeously. I really want to use all that gradient yarn, but I'm a knit along failure. I hang my head in shame. I was trying to get the gradient or that hitchhiker shawl completed for Lynn at Sunshine and Bubblegum Podcast's Gradient Knit Along, and I didn't. It was supposed to be finished by the 31st of October, and it's not. And then I had hoped, well, maybe I would get the shawl finished for Barbara over at Knitting I Love is also hosting a shawl along, and I was hoping hers is finishing sometime in November. I'm not convinced I'm going to make it for the deadline for that knit along either, but I can live in hope. And now I'm working on another shawl. I think I mentioned a few episodes ago that there is no project monogamy in this house, and I'm really displaying that this week. I've had a little bit of cast-on-itis, and of course with the crocheting, that was completely out of the blue. I wasn't planning on doing that until 3 or 4 days ago. So I've managed to get something finished, but I still have a lot of things that are on the needles, kind of languishing. But sometimes projects need to age a little bit, I think. So I'm just letting them age a little bit until I get back to them. That's my theory. I'm going to go with that anyway. Okay, this has been a very exciting week for Canada Post for me. I have received two parcels this week from two different sources. Overseas, both of these parcels came over the water. Both of these parcels, incidentally, came from Ireland, which is really, really exciting. And speaking of Ireland, just to go off on a tangent for a second, the contest winner that I had announced last week got in contact with me. Yay! And so Astrid is going to be getting, her parcel is going in the mail tomorrow, Friday. I have to do a huge mail out with the newsletters that I'm doing for the Guild that are finally printed as well. So I'm going to send that out tomorrow. Astrid, if you're watching, it's coming. Astrid actually lives in Europe, and I'm going to be sending her parcel to Italy. And I don't think I have ever sent a parcel to Italy before. I have sent parcels to Germany and to England, and I'm going to be sending one to Ireland sometime soon, but I've never sent one to Italy before, so I'm really excited. It's going to be, it's kind of cool that my project bag and the cute little package that I did up is actually going to get sent to somewhere as far away as Italy. So that's really cool. So back to my Canada Post deliveries. The first one is from Barbara at Knitting I Love. I had made an order from Barbara for her a couple of things. Of course, Barbara always puts in a couple of extra things. I seem to be finding out when I made my order. So one of these things is actually not here because I have a double pointed needle holder from Barbara, and I'm using it. It's downstairs. I have one of my socks upstairs, one of the socks I'm knitting for my husband upstairs, and one downstairs in front of the computer where I watch Netflix and podcasts. And that way I'm kind of getting equal knitting done on both of them. But the DPN, I put Barbara's double pointed needle holder on the one downstairs, and I've left it down there, so I'm going to continue to leave it down there. I'm not going to interrupt the podcast and run down and get it. It's in her green colorway. And then I also ordered this one is I think this is her circular needle. The needles go in here, and then you use the snap to hold the cables together and keep them from slipping. She also includes in her packages these cute, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to see that. I'll put a picture in if this doesn't come out very well. So these cute little, oh, sorry, that's sideways. Cute little handmade felted tab. And you can put these on, so if you make a hat or something, you can put it on the cuff of the hat. And just to show this, snap together again. I love the embossing of the flowers on the felt. It's just gorgeous. Really sweet. So because Barbara knows that I have a podcast, and to thank me for my order, oh, I also ordered these. She does gorgeous stitch holders and progress keepers. And so let me take these out, because you're not going to be able to see how cute they are. Apologize for the crinkling. That isn't crinkling exciting. It means that there's presents. So this is one of her Knitting I Love Progress Keeper squares, felted squares, that you can hold your progress keepers on. And then I really like, these are her, these are 3 of her Flower Power progress keepers. And the cool thing about them is that you can turn them upside down. Oops. If you turn it upside down, I think if you turn it upside down. Anyway, it can be used as a stitch marker as well, if you put the prong through the loop. So so it's a double purpose. It's a stitch marker and a progress keeper. Barbara is brilliant. That's really cool. And as I was saying, because Barbara knows I have a podcast, and to thank me for my order, she also included a couple of extra treats. So she included an extra coaster and some progress keepers there. And then she also included for you guys a coaster and some progress markers here. So the next contest that I have, which will be just after Christmas and the New Year, one of these will be going in the package bag, which I think is really exciting. So Barbara, thank you so much. It was, like I said, Barbara is in Ireland. She's her tag for her podcast is Knitting I Love, and she's from Poland originally, but she lives in Ireland. And these are really sweet. I love them. I'm going to get a lot of use out of these, and thank you so much for sending extras so that one of my viewers can also share in the Knitting I Love. That's awesome. The next parcel I'm going to show you is even more special because it's not an order. It's actually a present that a viewer who really enjoys the podcast sent me. She is also in Ireland, in the County Mayo area of Ireland, which is a part of Ireland I have not been in. I've been to Ireland a couple of times, but I haven't been to her section of Ireland yet. Oh, I say yet because you never know what can come in the future. This is I'm absolutely touched by this parcel. When I started a podcast, I guess I don't really know what I was expecting. I was hoping that I could get to know and share with like-minded people about knitting and about crafting. But I wasn't expecting to have over 150 followers on YouTube or over 200 followers on Instagram. And I wasn't expecting people to send me presents to say thank you just for hosting a podcast. So to the lady who's in Ireland, you know who you are, because I said I wasn't going to mention your name, but I am going to mention something else about what this lady does as well in a minute. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I still can't believe that you sent me all of this. So to start, I got chocolate. And for anybody who knows me well, there's some people who are watching this podcast who are probably going, oh my, because I didn't get not one, just one, not two, not three, and yes, the top parcel is open, 3 bars of dairy milk chocolate. And one's a whole nut, one's a mint crisp, and one is a solid. And my dear, dairy milk chocolate is my absolute, bar none, favorite type of chocolate. So you done good. Now, even more exciting, if it's possible for something to be more exciting than dairy milk chocolate coming to your door, is that I was sent this absolutely beautiful skein of yarn. Now this is from an Irish indie dyer that I've not heard of before, Strand Designs. This is her sock 4-ply. It is 75% merino, 25% nylon, There's approximately 425 meters, and the colorway is called Wild Atlantic. Strand Designs is on Facebook, and I'm going to put her information on the screen. I am going to be looking her up. I haven't had a chance to look you up yet, but I'm going to, because the yarn is gorgeous. It's soft and squishy. It smells great, because I'm always smelling yarn. And I think it's fantastic that I'm finding out about an Irish indie dyer who apparently is fairly new on the indie dye scene. But look at these colors. I haven't taken this apart yet, but I'm going to now so I can show you. Look at the colors. Wild Atlantic. You can see the rocks and the grays when the ocean is really up, and then the blues and the white for the foam of the cresting waves. At least that's how I interpret it. Absolutely stunning. Thank you so much for this. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this gift. So my friend who sent me this does something really exciting. She runs knitting retreats in Ireland. And I'm going to put information on the screen for her Facebook page and an email address that you can contact if you're interested in knitting retreats. I've never been to a knitting retreat before. I really like the idea of a knitting retreat. I think a weekend spent with a bunch of people who are sitting around knitting and sharing about knitting and talking about life stories and interacting with each other sounds absolutely amazing. I've looked up the Facebook page for the knitting retreats that she puts on, and they look absolutely amazing. So I'll put the name of the knitting retreat and all that information on the screen. And maybe if you're interested in going to Ireland, or you're in Ireland and want to go on a knitting retreat, then you can look her up, because it looks like an absolutely fantastic time. And to be honest, I'm interested in going. So I'm going to see if that's something that I can partake in over the next year. I think new dates are coming out in January for the 2017 year. And I think that would be something I really enjoy doing. So I'll keep you posted on that. Can you imagine going to a knitting retreat next to the ocean at a hotel where your meals are taken care of, and really your only job is to walk on the beach or knit? I mean, it would be my idea of heaven right there. So it sounds like a really great thing to do. I'm back again. You probably didn't notice, but my camera actually my camera records for a certain amount of minutes. I can't remember how many minutes, and then it cuts off, so I just got cut off, which is incredible, because that means I've been chatting quite a bit on this podcast, which I don't feel I normally do. So hopefully I'm still under my half an hour requirement, because I want to keep my podcast under half an hour. Anyway, I was just trying to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope that you are able to get as much time as possible to get as many things done in the crafty world as you can this week. Bye for now. Take care. Bye-bye.